So let's get a start demo first of AI Chatbot using Semantic Kernel SDK with the open AI API without any API key in Blazor, right? And here you see this is a very nice and nice look and feel UI, right? Here actually I can just ask that questions. For example, what is .NET 9 new feature, right? When I ask these questions and when I hit enter, it will get the response as a streamed response, right? As like we see in our chat GPT and other AI tools is returning, right? So similar actually we can create our things over here. Now see, I'm getting the response, very weak response. Also we're getting just simple ask the question and they're giving that all that informations about that. And now I'm asking that another questions, introduce yourself. And once I ask this question, now they are giving, okay, my name is El Lama. Actually, I'm using that El Lama model here, so that's why I'm saying I'm an El Lama, and whatever that El Lama is doing and all, they actually giving that here his response as well. So now I'm getting that also their response what I'm just asking. So they actually giving their introduction as well. So in this AI, right? So like that actually we can implement. So before implementation, just especially recommend, right? So go to my channel, which is the .NET Real World Example. In here you have to watch this guy first. Actually here I just create my own or self-hosted OpenAI API, which is completely free without any API key and all. So that setting actually we required. Neither actually we have to take some paid subscription, right? So that's why I just created this one. So that is fine if you require this guy, or if you want your paid subscription with the API key and all, that's also fine. Both will work fine. So let's get start implementation. So first of all, what I will do, open Visual Studio. I'll show you from that scratch. Everything I will do from the scratch and create a new project. Choose any Blazor Bab app, right? Choose this template, Blazor Bab app, which is introduced in .NET 8, and next. And then just here, so I'm just adding the name, uh, semantic chatbot with the semantic kernel, right? And then use our project locations and next. And now here I just choose the default template, right? Okay, whatever server and this and all, I just using the server render mode over here. But yeah, it's working for WebAssembly and server both. It will work, so there is a no issue. So you can just check it and then create. Our application got ready over here. Let me run it and make sure everything is working fine. So here this is a default template, right? Is nothing much over here, but yeah, everything is looks fine, right? So that's why I just try to run. What I need to do, first of all, I have to just install one package, right? So that is a semantic kernel. So we will use the semantic kernel for that all AI integrations, right? So that's why I'm using that. So go to that NuGet package over here. So here you have to just select this manage NuGet package, right? Choose that manage NuGet package, go to that browser, and here we have to look for that Microsoft semantic kernel. So let me look for that. So now see there is a many package over here related to Microsoft semantic kernel, right? So but I'm not going to that all, but yeah, I will use whatever we required over here. So see, I will use this guy, and also it is just into introduction actually whatever they things actually they using SDK core, OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, right? They actually taken care this both two things, right? So that's why actually we are using this package which is provided Microsoft. And also if you see the license, this is a MIT license, so this is completely free. We can use it and quickly we just install it, apply, accept. So now once you install completely, now you have to go to the solution, go to that program.cs file. Here we have to add some configuration of that, right? Because we have to, that package itself has some resolve dependency and all, right? So that we have to use that extension method and we have to resolve first. So what is that? We have to just first use that builder dot services dot, we have to add kernel, right? So this is an extension method we have to declare over here first. So once I declare, now see, I just added this add kernel services, and here we have some options. If you go to there, like just after that add kernel method, here add open AI. See, here we have many things over there, right? So if you go to again, now see, if you see here that OpenAI audio to text, OpenAI chat completion, OpenAI AI client files, many things actually over here actually provide this Azure, Microsoft semantic kernel, right? So that we can use further in this series, complete series. Actually, we will do all of that extension method we will use one by one. But yeah, here what we have trying to use, we have to use add OpenAI chat completion, right? So here we will just introduce our chatbot. So what I will do, I will use this guy, right? And in this guy actually there is a many overload method over here, parameter over there. So whatever parameter over here, see, we have that model ID, and then if you go to that another overload method, model ID, and then open AI client, right? And then if you go to next one, it have a model ID, API key, and then organization ID and service ID, and also the HTTP client. And then we have also here model ID, URI. You can just pass the URI as well, API key, and then organization ID and all, right? So there is a many overload method. So I will show you a two-way actually over here. First way actually, so first parameter would be over here. See, there's a model ID, right? So where I can get this model ID? So model ID is nothing. If you open this chat GPT over here, see, here's that model ID, right? So these are that AI model which is actually giving the GPT 3.5, GPT-4, or Llama model, and also Mistral model. Many model we have provided that AI. So those model ID actually we have to add it over here. For example, I'll just adding GPT-4 over here as of now, right? And then next thing is API key, right? So let me add this API key as well. So here where I can get that API key. In our Azure, you can just create a GPT service, OpenAI GPT service. So you will get API from there as well. And now second things also you can get if you have a login, right, in our OpenAI over here, which is this guy, right, which is providing GPT. So here you can get from this section. If you go to this section, right, here, and you will get this API key section. And here once you click on API key section, here you will get that API key. If you first time, definitely it will, you have to just create that gun, and then once just try and create secret, and you will get this key, and you can just copy and go back to your here and just add it to over here, right? So like this way, if you have a paid subscription, right? So let me clear for here because it is a complex things. So here, if we have paid open AI API, then we have to use like this way, right? And also this way will work for, we have an Azure subscription also. Then we can just create in our Azure side also, we have that a model, and then we have to just create our API key, and we can good to go to use this guy, right? So this is one way. And another way is like that. Suppose for example, just commented this guy because I'm not using this guy, because I'm using free one without paid subscription, right? So now we have another one, which is if we don't have an paid OpenAI, right? So then how we can use it? So then what I need to do, simply just copy this guy, paste it over here, and simply we just commented this guy, and I use this guy. Again, I just using same things, whatever model ID, right? So my model ID is that, if I open and show you, so this is my model ID actually, which I just locally hosted, right, in our OpenAI. So this is my model ID. If you see over here, this guy, Llama, Meta Llama, Instact, and 7B, right guy, right? So whatever model ID, you can just add it over here like that. You can use it, and for example, see, this is my model ID, right? So you can use it this guy, or if you local hosted, right, and OpenAI local hosted, so you can just pass it whatever things, you automatically convert and get it that model, based on that your URI and all, right? And then second thing is the API key, right? So what I can do, API key, we don't require any API key. So either you can just remove this guy, right? We don't require this guy, or you can just add it or just pass it as a be without API key, right? Whatever things actually you can just pass it. Actually, we don't have a API key, so you can just pass it API key, or you can just remove it, well, right? So this is the next things. Now another things is like, suppose you have a local hosted OpenAI, right? So how we can add it, because it is just by default is taking this URL. So if you go to here, right, and then if you go to that doc system, doc options, and then you can go to that your here quick start, right? And if you go to down, little bit down, and here just go to that curl curl, right? And there are the options actually they provide. Okay, now see this guy. So by default, that package, whatever semantic package, they will considered as a URL, this URL, right? When we use that add OpenAI compilation, so they will take in care this URL, and also they will take in care also that that guy, for example Azure one also. So they by default taken care this one, and whatever API you will pass, API ID you will just passing over here, they will consider, right? Like that they will consider over here. But when I do that manual, or just when I do our local OpenAI, right? So in this case I have to forcefully tell, okay, which URI actually I'm trying to use. So we have to do some custom handler we have to just create and pass it to over here. So what is that parameter? Actually that is that, for example, HTTP client. So here we can just, okay, just we have to just create a custom handler and we can pass it to over here. So let me create a quickly custom handler. For example, here right click on that and add a new class, and let me call this guy as a proxy AI handler. So let me create that guy, right? And we have to just implement something over here, just inherit that HTTP client handler, just simply inherit. And once you inherit, we can just override one method over here. Let me override, and then method name would be your send async method. Now see, once I just created this one, we have to just simply this custom handler always call once you send that request, right? And then here what I'm trying to do, I just put some conditions over here, like for example, if that request URI it's not equal to null, or for example it's request URI hosted in api.com, and like that, right? So if it is meet these conditions, right? So then what I'm trying to do, I simply this guy, because see by default that request actually binding this API, right? So that's why I just comparing, okay, if you binding this request, then I just forcefully change this to our hosted one, right? So that I just change it over here, and I can get it from here. Like see, this is our LM Studio, and our API actually our OpenAI actually running over here. And what is my API? So this is my API, localhost localhost 333 port actually it is running, right? And then if you go back, I just simply mentioned same things over here, my URL with this 33 port, and just additionally be using that whatever query and all, right? So that's it, like, so this is done, right? Custom handler we have to create it, that is done. Now go back to your program.cs file, and here we have to just simply pass over here. Simply I can just create a new HTTP client over here, and then again just passing our that handler, right? So what is my handler name? Go back to again here, my handler name is a proxy OpenAI handler, and just edit over here, and then simply just configured over here, and that's it, right? So like that we can just configure our custom OpenAI, right? Like this way. So this is a custom OpenAI, right? And which is completely free. But if you want to paid subscription, you have a paid subscription, so you can use this guy, right? So like this way, actually you can use it, and you can just configure. So once it's configured, that's it, right? So this is a configuration section completed. Now moving to implementation of that component, right? So first let me add let me use that home component, right? So I will just implement everything from here. So what I can do over here, simply, first of all, I have to just inject, that service, right? Which service? Actually we have used this add kernel, right? So this add kernel had that all that flexibility, give that connectivity, and then get the response. So that service, actually we have to just inject it first. So how we can inject it? It's simple. Let me inject this guy, right? For example, kernel, and then kernel as a creating object. Let me bring that namespace, right? And once you get the namespace, that is done, right? And then first, what I have to do, simply I just remove this guy and just decorate with this, one of the text, right? What we are trying to do is that I just edit over here in this component and simply remove this guy. And then further, I have to actually implement one by one everything, right? So first I just create a code block over here. Let me add a code block, and in this code block we have to record some property and all. So let me create some property. For example, those property I have to record. For example, button text I required, paragraph bits I required, is loading is required, input required, and then whatever this model, actually we are actually just adding our message, question and answer, we have to add it. So that class also required. So as of now we don't have. Let me create this class as well. And also we can here go to that here, and then create a new class for that chat message, right? So let me create this guy, and in this chat message, what I have to do, we have to require some property and all, right? So go to this guy and just edit this two property I required. What is a text, and then another one is user message, and then we just constructor, and then by default it's set it over here. So that's it, right? So go back to your that home.razor cs file, uh, home.razor component, right? And then here, now declaration is done, right? And then after declaration, what I am trying to do, I have to just create that, I have to just loading the data, right? So how we can load the data? So first of all, I just create one send message, right? So in this send message, like suppose user can send that message, and then we can get that response, right? And then that method, actually we have to create it. So let me create quickly that method. So this is the method name, right? Send method. So user will send that button, then it will call, and we get that things over here. So first I'll just set it over here, and a button text which will showing as a loading, right? And then second is loading is true. Also just loading, I just flag and as true, and then we just make it the state. So whatever is state, actually these things we just update the state, right? So like this way. And then second things, let me just using the try catch block as well over here, so that in any exception we can just capture over here. And then we have to just start, first, we can just add it over here, whatever chat message, right? So this is chat message object. What I'm trying to do, simply I just add it, that's blank, whatever input I'm getting, right, from that user. So whatever user just input, see that user will input, so that input I'm getting, and just adding to this chat message like as a input, and then by default is set is the true, right? So why I'm just setting true, don't worry, I'll tell you, because we require this flag, to handle like which one is a question and which one an answer, right? So like this way, actually we have to use. And then what is the done, then we have to have that API response, that should be first time is a empty, right? Because we have to bind them some message response over here, so that's why first it should be empty. And then once is get, I have to just declare one more variable, which is a message index, right? So why I'm assigning this guy, don't worry about that, I will tell you. So once is done, now actually we have using this kernel, right? So let me use this kernel, and if you show you like kernel dot invoke prompt, right? Invoke prompt string, prompt stringing, right? So this is that method actually which will invoke and get that data as a stream, right? So that's why we're using this service, and this service actually provide this method is a nice method. And whatever type actually you want, so that you can just returning back. So this method actually, as of now, I required as a, it will return as a string, right, because it's string data. So I can get it over here and just passing the input. See, prompt template name. So what is our prompt template name? This is my input as a user input as a prompt template name. So like that actually we can get the result, right? And then result we have to bind in our component, right? So this is actually whole the goal, right? So see, this is just actually returning asynchronous enable, right? So this is not actually it is some issue in this Blazor component, is a Razor component. We can't directly bind in our HTML site, right? So in this case, what I can do simply, I just need to get that all the response and add it to over here. And once I am getting the response one by one, we can just update in our UI as well. So like actually that model updating, right? So like this way. So what I can do simply, I have to use that for each loop, right? Over here, see, I using await for each, and in this await for each, whatever response I'm getting is this guy, right? One by one. I'm just storing over here as a response, right? For example, this guy. So I'm using that API response, right? I'm just binding, adding over here with this game, whatever game, right? And then replace. Why I'm trying to replace? See, that response we are getting using that slash and black backslash and backslash t, that's such kind of format actually they're returning. So what I'm trying to do, such kind of format we have to convert it like this way. So that's why I'm using this guy, and we are storing over here. So once I storing over here, now we have to check, okay, whatever message index, right? So this message index, if it is one, don't worry, I'll tell you why I'm using this guy. So if it is one, it is one means it is first time. Suppose user clicks send button, and it is, if it is first time, right? So if it is first time, so then I have to just simply added that chat message over here, like chat message dot add that whatever response. So this is added a response and set its flag is false. Why I'm setting this flag as false? Because true means it is questions and false means it is response, right? So that's why I set it as a false. And then why I'm adding this guy? So now I have to just explain over here message index. So we actually see this logic actually we have to trying to implement, which is actually question, which is an answer. So both based on this actually we have trying to do this logic, like if it is first time, so this is a first answer of that, and after that we just need to update, not adding every time. Like this is a for each loop, right? So every time it will iterate it. So every time just created another chat, another chat and their object, right? So they will create a multiple chat object, right? So then again we have to join and all. Actually that's a long process. So that's why we have to add this logic, and this logic actually which fine to actually handle these things, right? So now see, I just increment, right? So once it's first time, then it is just adding, and after that if it is else condition, what I'm trying to do, if it is first time then edit, if it is else means it is not first time, second time, just simply update, right? Whatever our last chat, right, chat response, we just trying to get the text and just updated that response. So like that we have to trying to put the logic. And finally I've just after that, once I done this logic, so I just added this, state has changed, so that whatever data we have just added over here, they can change the state and we can bind our UI, right? So like this we can just handle. And finally, after the loop, iteration loop, and here whatever input user is sending, we have to set that blank, right? So that way actually we can do that, simply put the logic. And what I can do, just exception section, I can set that our exception like that. Okay, is there any exception? So we can get that exception. And finally in the last, I have to just set it, okay, is loading is a false because I set as a true. And then also button text is a send button because by default it will show the loading button. And then also I changing the button text, and then finally change the state, right? So like this actually we can implement our send message method, and we can get that, we can call that our OpenAI and get the data quickly. And that's it. This is actually main method, and we have to, now we have to build our UI logic, means our uh, our design, right? So let me just create a one design first. This is one design. We are actually just creating a one div, and here whatever chat messages, right? So see, this is my collection of the chat messages. I'm just iterating through what for each loop, and here see they are actually, see, I just added that flag. Okay, is user message, if it is a user message, so that means it's a user message, and this is a bot message. So based on this user message and bot message, I just create a style, and we can identify, okay, this is a user message and this is a bot message. And we can just simply using the markup string, because actually they returning some HTML or all, right? So they actually just simply converting and add it over here, right? So this is one style, one actually section. We are just adding all that response, right? Question and response. And that in another section we have to just create HTML. That is, we can just input the user and send that the response, right? Means user input and send the button, right? So let me create another section, uh, call it as a message input. Over here I just create a one loading button over here, right? Loading input. uh, we can just create a input text box, and we just create a one button, right? And also there's some logic over here. If it is is loading, or input is blank, so it should not be visible. It should be disable and enable, right? So this logic I just put it over here. Also we can show the some progress bar also. If it is loading, so then show and then hide, and then finally loading bar also there's progress. There is actually set it some progress bar as well, right? So that actually some design and all, so that is fine, right? But yeah, uh, idea is like whatever we trying to do over here, just a design, so you can just go through that design. So that is done, and once it's done, what I can do, there is some another things actually we have to do that over here, because some issue as well. So let me run and show you, right? So let me run, and how it look like we can check it. It is running, but yeah, but look like it's not good, right? So let me try some message. Okay, what is .NET, right? And then, and also see, when I use that what is .NET, it is also disable, it should be enable, right? So there is some issue because I'm using server side Blazor server side rendering, right? But here I'm not specify, okay, which component actually this that, right? So there is a two way, either you can set a globally or just component level. So here I will use that a component level, right? So let me add it over here. It is a server interactive, right? So that I just add it over here. So now if you run, and see it is disabled, that is fine. But once I add it over here, what is, or just sky color name, right? And then once I sky color name and see and change it, button visible, right? Once I send over here, see it is loading, that is fine. And it should be give the some response as well once I get that response. Now see, I'm getting that response, right? So that is fine. But yeah, for that functionality perspective, it is working fine. There's a no issue, but only just design perspective, it is not good, right? So what I can do, simply just change our design first and look feel better. So what I can do over here, for that I just create a new component, for example razor component also, and choose here css, because I required some style. So I'll just create a css file, and here let me add home dot razor dot css file, and just make it to as a home, right? And then add it. Once you add it, now you will get that over here, that css file content. And here I have to just have some design. So let me add that design over here. It is a pretty much simple design, like whatever container, chat message, user message, bot message, so those are design. So I'm not going to explaining over here because it is a design part. So that is done, and once it's done, let me save it and run it and see. Now it's running, right? And also it is a nice look feel, right? Whatever we are trying to achieve, so that is we have achieved, right? So look feel also it's fine. Also this is a section where we can see our input and output, and also we can input ask the question over here, right? So let me ask something. What is what is .NET 9, and then change it over here, send it. Now see, once I send it, you see it is loading, properly loading, and here also progress bar, right? So whatever we achieve, and you'll see it is just rendering that response based on the stream rendering. So now I'm getting the response, right? Whatever response I just asking, so I'm just getting quickly. And also what I can do now, I can ask another questions, that is like, okay, introduce yourself again. So once I ask to this question, so see, this is a questions and this again answer. Nice to meet you, this is a llama and all, right? Whatever we are using this, model, so they are just introduce yourself. And also if I ask, okay, what is your name, right? And once I ask this, what is your name, so they will ask, okay, I don't have a personal name and just an artificial intelligence design and all on, right? And also people refer to as a name is El Lama, right? So this is nice actually. So they're saying, okay, somebody is asking El Lama. So this is completely fine. Whatever we trying to achieve, so that is completely we achieve with using the ton of free open AI, using that, semantic kernel SDK. So this way actually you can use it. And one last thing actually, before closing this session, I just adding in our GitHub link this source code, so you can just refer and you can use it, right? So let me add it over here. This is my name, right? Blazor app chatbot semantic kernel, and make it public and just push. That's all for this session. Thank you. Have a nice day, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.